Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission here, well, it's pretty simple. Take those huge, messy topics, the ones that just drown you in research and endless checklists and boil them down. We want to give you the pure, actionable stuff you actually need. And today, we're tackling one of life's guaranteed stressors,
Yeah.
moving. Specifically, long-distance relocation.
Yeah, moving across town is one thing, but going cross country, that's a whole different ballgame. We're talking high stakes, big financial risks, and some really intense logistics.
Right. The idea of a new start is exciting, sure, but the actual process, most people dread it.
Almost universally, yeah. But we're hoping to change that a bit today by really digging into the planning. It's not just about the boxes and tape, we're looking beyond that into the why and the how of making a move successful and hopefully less chaotic and budget-friendly.
And it starts with something pretty interesting, how things have shifted. I mean, statistically, the average person moves something like 11 times.
That's right.
But the reasons people are moving, they've really changed, especially in the last few years.
Definitely. Traditionally, it was the classic stuff. New job, maybe a company transfer, finding a better house or a cheaper one, or maybe setting up your own place for the first time.
But if you look back just to, say, 2020, a lot of moves felt more like crisis response. People suddenly needed more space, or they were worried about safety, or dealing with the huge affordability issues in big cities.
It was reactive. But now, looking towards 2025, it feels much more strategic. People are making really calculated decisions. They're thinking about hybrid work, wanting to be near enough to a city for occasional commutes, but far enough out to get more space and maybe lower costs.
Yeah, and it's not just work. We're seeing this focus on lifestyle upgrades, right? People are looking at emerging tech hubs, maybe not the usual coastal suspects. They're thinking about quality of life, things like crime rates, getting outdoors.
And crucially, climate and environmental factors are playing a bigger role too. People are actually moving because of that.
So it's less about just the job and more like a whole life upgrade package.
That sums it up perfectly. And if you're looking at it strategically like that, well, the planning has to be just as strategic. Which brings us straight to the money, and maybe the biggest lever you can pull, timing.
Okay, let's dive into that first strategy, the budget. We all know moving costs money, often a lot. But what the research shows is, if you nail the timing, you can actually save a bundle right off the bat. It's about understanding why prices change so much.
It really comes down to simple supply and demand tied straight to the calendar. For the biggest savings, you absolutely want to aim for the off-peak season. So think January through March, maybe late November into December.
And definitely avoid the summer, right? May to September.
Oh, absolutely. That's peak season, and prices just skyrocket. But it's not just the season.
Okay. So even within, say, January, there's another layer. Like, why is midweek, mid-month cheaper?
Yeah, and this connects directly to when leases usually end. Most leases, whether they're residential or corporate, wrap up around the 30th or 31st of the month.
Okay.
So you get this huge spike in demand right at the end of the month and the very beginning of the next one, especially if those days land on a weekend.
Makes sense. Everyone's trying to move at the same time.
Exactly. So if you can swing it, moving on, say, a Tuesday in the middle of the month, you sidestep all that peak demand. That means cheaper rates usually, and it's easier to get the truck or the container you want.
That's a great tip. Avoiding the moving traffic jam, basically.
Okay, so that handles the big timing piece. What about those smaller costs that just add up, like boxes and supplies? The usual advice is, hit up the grocery store for free boxes. Is that actually smart for a long-distance move?
For a local move, maybe. But for cross-country, I'd say that advice is a bit too simple. Yes, you might save, $50? But the risk isn't worth it. Think about those boxes traveling potentially thousands of miles.
Right, they could get damp, crushed. Precisely. Weak cardboard, maybe it got wet before. The structural integrity just isn't guaranteed. If you want to be really strategic, you either invest in good quality double-walled cardboard boxes specifically for moving, or even look into those reusable plastic moving totes. You can often rent them.
Okay, so the small saving isn't worth the risk of damaged stuff.
Exactly. That initial investment in better boxes or totes really pays off when your things arrive in one piece.
And speaking of costs, The single biggest money mistake isn't actually paying too much for boxes, is it? It's something more fundamental.
It's skipping the budget altogether, or, just vaguely guessing. You absolutely need to create a detailed budget right alongside your checklist. List out every expected expense, get quotes, write down the actual
Well,
prices.
don't just assume those prices are fixed.
Never. This is key. Costs often creep up. Maybe your stuff weighs more than estimated. Maybe there are delays. You have to build in a buffer. I always recommend at least a 15% wiggle room for surprises.
15%. Okay.
That buffer saves you from panic mode later if, something unexpected happens. It keeps things manageable.
Right. Prevents the move from putting you into debt. Okay. Budget lockdown. Now, the actual physical logistics. You're moving cross-country. How do you and your car get there? Flying versus driving? It's not just about what you prefer, is it?
No, it's another strategic calculation. Flying is obviously faster, maybe more convenient if you don't have a ton of stuff, or if you happen to live near major airports on both ends.
But you've got other costs then.
Exactly. Baggage fees can add up fast, especially for multiple people. And then there's the big one, shipping your car. That's a whole separate logistical piece and a significant expense you have to factor in and manage.
Okay. And driving.
Driving gives you maximum flexibility, You control the schedule. It's great if you have a lot of belongings you can actually fit in the car or maybe tow, or if you're just not comfortable having your car shipped by someone else.
But it requires serious planning.
Oh, meticulous planning. You need to map your route considering potential weather issues, especially depending on the time of year. Know where you're going to stop for gas or, critically, for charging if you have an EV. Pre-booking hotels.
And you probably need to weigh the cost of gas and hotels against the cost of shipping the car, right?
Absolutely. Sometimes the difference isn't as big as you'd think, especially for a long drive with multiple overnight stops. You have to run the numbers.
Okay, so personal transport figured out. Then comes the really big decision.
Yeah.
The moving service itself. This is where serious money gets spent. Let's break down the main options so listeners know what they're paying for. Full service, containers, DIY trucks.
Right. Let's maybe use a baseline, say, the cost for moving a typical 3-bedroom house cross-country, just as a rough guide.
Good idea. Okay, top tier. Full service movers. Most expensive, most convenient. We saw estimates maybe $2,500 up to $5,500 or even more sometimes. What justifies that price?
That price buys you a truly hands-off experience. They come in, they pack everything, they load the truck, drive it, unload it at the other end. Sometimes they'll even reassemble furniture.
Because you basically don't lift a finger.
Pretty much. The cost is justified by saving your time and saving your back, frankly. But vetting these companies is absolutely critical. This industry, unfortunately, has its share of issues, like bait-and-switch pricing.
What's a red flag to watch out for
A
that?
huge one is demanding a very large deposit up front, like way more than maybe 20% of the total estimated cost. That can be a warning sign.
Okay. And I've heard people talk about binding versus non-binding estimates. What's the deal there? Why does that matter?
Yeah, this is super important. A non-binding estimate is just that it's their best guess. The final price can, and often does, go up after they load the truck and weigh everything. They might cite, unforeseen circumstances.
So you could end up paying a lot more than you expect.
You could. A binding estimate, on the other hand, is a guaranteed price. As long as the amount of stuff you're moving and the conditions match what you told them initially, that price is locked in.
So always push for binding if you can get it.
Always try. Or if you have to go with non-binding, make absolutely sure you have that 15% buffer in your budget ready, just in case.
Got it. Okay, option 2. Those portable storage containers, like PODS or pack rat. You pack it, they move it. Cheaper, more flexible.
Generally, yes. The flexibility comes because you can pack and load the container on your own schedule. They drop it off, you fill it, they pick it up and transport it. Since you're doing the labor of packing and loading, you save money compared to full service.
And the cost varies a lot.
Hugely. Depends on the container size, the distance, how long you need it. Often it's like a monthly rental fee, maybe $100 to $300 a month, plus the actual transportation charge. When you're comparing companies here, ask about the containers themselves. Are they steel, wood? How secure is the door? Is it weatherproof? Pack rat, for instance, often gets mentioned for having sturdy steel containers.
Good points. Okay, finally, the real budget choice. Renting a truck and doing it all yourself. DIY. Range was like $800 to maybe $2,100 plus gas and everything else. The risk seems higher here.
It absolutely is. This is maximum savings, but it means maximum personal effort and risk. You're doing all the heavy lifting, literally. and you're driving a huge, potentially unfamiliar truck across highways, maybe mountains, maybe bad weather.
So if you go DIY, you need to be extra careful with prep.
Hyper-vigilant. But honestly, regardless of which option you choose, full service, container, or DIY, keeping a detailed inventory list, maybe even a digital one with photos of valuable items before they leave your house. That's just smart protection for yourself.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift from the money and the mode of transport to the actual doing, the packing and prep work. This feels like where the stress really ramps up and things can go wrong fast.
Yeah.
You mentioned starting early, like 2 or 3 months early. Why so long?
Because procrastination is absolutely the enemy here. It leaves you likely to stress, forgetting important tasks, rushing, making mistakes. As soon as you have that firm move-out date, start setting deadlines. Put reminders on your phone.
And those 2 or 3 months aren't just for packing, right? There's a key first step.
Right. It gives you time for the most crucial pre-packing step, decluttering.
And we're not just talking about tossing old magazines. This is strategic decluttering.
Yes, exactly. Think about it. If you're paying for movers based on weight, or you're trying to fit everything into a specific container size or truck, every single item you don't need costs you money to move.
So get rid of stuff first.
Definitely. Start with the easy stuff. Seasonal decorations you never use, kitchen gadgets collecting dust, clothes you haven't worn in ages. Sell it, donate it, give it away. Do that before you even think about packing a box. Don't pay to move clutter.
Smart. Okay, now the actual packing. What are the common physical mistakes people make? I heard you mention the bigger is better fallacy for boxes.
Oh, absolutely not when it comes to heavy things. This is probably the biggest physical mistake, and it's a safety issue too. People grab a big box and fill it with heavy stuff like books, maybe tools, canned goods.
And then it weighs a ton.
Exactly. It becomes way too heavy to lift safely. You risk straining your back, your legs, dropping the box, or the bottom just giving out.
So the rule should be.
Heavy items always go in small boxes. Books, files, dishes. Use the smallest, sturdiest boxes you have. It keeps the weight manageable and protects both you and your belongings.
Okay, small boxes for heavy stuff. What about organizing inside the boxes?
Think about the new house. Don't just pack based on where things are now, and don't just cram things in wherever they fit. Try to group items together based on the room they'll end up in at the destination.
Be specific with labeling, too.
Oh, absolutely. Label clearly. Don't just write kitchen everyday dishes, or master bathroom linens. Be specific about the contents and the destination room. It makes unpacking so much faster and less chaotic. You won't just have a mountain of generic boxes.
Right. And speaking of avoiding chaos and damage,
Yeah.
documentation. You mentioned measurements earlier. Why is that so critical?
Because people skip it, and it leads to totally preventable damage. You must measure your large furniture, the sofa, big bookshelves, your bed frame. Then measure the doorways, stairwells, tight corners, and elevators in the new place.
Make sure it actually fits.
Yes. Trying to force a sofa through a doorway that's too small inevitably leads to scraped walls, gouged furniture, dented door frames, damage that your standard moving insurance might not even cover, leaving you to foot the bill.
Nightmare. Okay, another headache. Electronics. All those wires.
Oh, yeah. Before you unplug anything complex your computer setup, the TV and sound system take pictures of the back, snap a few photos showing where all the wires go.
Genius.
And then keep the manuals, the right cables, the remotes all together. Put them in a clear plastic bag and tape it securely to the device itself. Trust me, when you're exhausted on moving day and just want the internet back on, future you will be incredibly grateful.
I can definitely see that. Okay, we're moving into the final stretch. Handling the admin side and thinking about actually settling in.
Right. First things first, immediate access on arrival. You need that open first box. No negotiation on this one.
What goes in it?
Essentials for the first 48 hours. Any prescription medications, basic toiletries, a change of clothes for everyone, phone chargers, maybe a toolkit, toilet paper, snacks, and critically important documents, valuables. This box travels with you in your car or on the plane, not in the moving truck.
Smart. Okay, admin deadlines. Utilities, mail forwarding.
Mm-hmm.
That needs advance notice, right?
Yes. Contact your utility company's electric, water, gas, internet, trash at least 2 weeks before your move date. You need to schedule the stop service at the old place and the start service at the new place. Arrange for final meter readings, too. And definitely forward your mail through the post office online.
And if you're moving state to state, there's a legal deadline that catches people out.
The DMV. Absolutely. Most states require you to update your driver's license and vehicle registration with your new address within 30 days of moving in and establishing residency. Don't put this off. Missing that deadline can lead to fines or other bureaucratic hassles you really don't need.
Okay, now, insurance. We touched on it, but let's really clarify. If someone has homeowners or renters insurance, why do they also need to worry about the insurance the moving company offers? Isn't their stuff already covered?
That's a really common and potentially costly misunderstanding. Your standard homeowners or renters policy often provides very limited coverage, or sometimes no coverage, for your belongings once they leave your property and are in the hands of a third-party mover.
Really, so if the truck crashes?
Your homeowner's policy might not cover much, if anything, for the damaged goods on that truck. That's why you must look closely at the moving company's own insurance options, often called valuation coverage.
And there are different levels of that.
Typically, yes, they might offer basic liability, which is often based on weight, like 60 cents per pound per article, which is practically nothing for valuable items. Or they might offer full value protection, which costs more but means they're liable for the replacement value of damaged items. You need to understand the options and choose what's right for you, but ignoring it altogether because you think your home insurance covers it, that's a huge financial risk.
Wow, okay. That alone is incredibly valuable advice.
What?
So finally, let's talk about the soft landing. Moving, especially out of state, is more than just logistics and paperwork. It's a big personal change.
It really is. And you can prepare for the adaptation phase. Do a little research beforehand about the new place. What are the local norms or social etiquette like? Are there strong regional accents? What's the local food scene? And definitely understand the climate and typical weather patterns that can be a big adjustment.
So managing expectations helps reduce culture shock.
Exactly. And then once you arrive, you can't just wait for community to happen to you. You have to be intentional about integrating.
How do you do that?
Be proactive. Go to local events if you can. Join clubs or groups related to your hobbies, hiking, books, whatever. Volunteer for a local cause. It's like building muscle. You have to put in the effort consistently.
Be patient with yourself.
Absolutely. Give yourself grace. Finding your footing, building real connections, that takes time. Often 6 months, maybe even longer. Don't expect to feel completely settled overnight.
This has been fantastic, a really thorough guide to navigating a big move. Let's quickly recap the biggest takeaways. Strategic timing is huge for saving money. Aim for midweek, mid-month, in the off-season like winter if possible.
Right. And always push for that binding estimate from movers if you can get one. Understand their insurance options don't rely solely on your homeowner's policy for goods in transit.
And on the practical side, small boxes for heavy items save your back. Declutter before you pack to save money and space. And document everything. Measure furniture for the new place, take photos of electronics before unplugging.
Exactly. At the end of the day, a successful, less stressful move comes down to focused planning, starting well in advance, ideally 8 to 12 weeks out. It's about combining that budget discipline with smart logistics and just some critical thinking along the way.
So as you, our listener, maybe start planning your own move, or even just thinking about one down the road, here's a final thought to chew on. We talked about how 2025 moves seem really driven by lifestyle choices and long-term goals. So ask yourself, how closely does the place you're considering actually align with what you really need? Your non-negotiables for community, maybe climate, the quality of life you're aiming for? Are you moving just chasing a job, or are you truly designing a whole life upgrade for yourself?